Hey everybody, Tom Tezak, and today I just wanted to address what's happening with the county of Maui, the mayor, the governor, the Minatoya rule. We've put out a video a while back where we explain the Minatoya rule. I have said so many of my followers reach out, give me a call, want more understanding to what does this all really mean to the Maui real estate market, to the Maui economy, and how everything is going to shake out. With the new proposed rule that Mayor Bisson has come up with about eliminating the vacation rentals that are in the Minatoya list. Now, if you don't know what the Minatoya list is and how that works, watch my video. We'll put a link into that so you can get an overview of what the Minatoya list is and how that affects rentals. But basically, that was what I want to talk about because there's so many questions and so many people that are really scared, nervous, and frustrated. And I wanted to bring on Kevin Eliasson with Maui Paradise Properties, who's been instrumental in the journey with the fire. When the fire happened, his company was extremely affected. They were instrumental in placing so many people through the FEMA program. They're the only licensed or the only approved FEMA rental management company on the island. They currently have about 320 properties under agreement, 270 about in the vacation rental, 55 or so that went from vacation rental into FEMA, and then about another 50 to 60 in the long-term program. So almost 400 properties. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. I know it's late on Tuesday night, and today is Tuesday, the 14th of May, just to timestamp this conversation. It is an ever-changing event, and things are every day we're getting new and different information about the mayor, the governor, the government's process. So, Kevin, what can you share with us about your thoughts on what's been going on for the last 2 weeks now?
Well, your information, your data is very accurate. We've got a Minatoya list, which is, for lack of a better term, the scab that has been addressed by a lot of the county council members, governor, and the mayor as a avenue with which they can create housing for affordable housing, I should say, for workers here on the island. This is a list that was created for additional condo complexes that were built in the 70s, 80s, and 90s to allow for them to be in and fall under the criteria of short-term rental housing. It has been, from homes 400,000 all the way up to we've got some $5 million condos in this list.
Well, let me stop you there. And I know we're bouncing through the Minatoya rules, which I want to do that. But the mayor last week, when he had his press conference on Friday afternoon, which I think is like pretty crappy that he makes this huge announcement right before business closes down for the county. But anyway, we won't even go there, although I just did. He said that all of the properties in the Minatoya list. So if you're on the Minatoya list, it's because you were zoned A1 or A2, apartment zoned. And he said all of them were built for affordable housing. And I'd just like to get your take on that because, well, I think, what do you think about that?
And that is a misinformed perspective that will come to light here sooner than later. The list in and of itself has not been attempted to be, nor has it ever been pared downward to eliminate units that simply don't have affordability. I mean, some of these from a standpoint of operations are in the $4,000, $5,000, sometimes $6,000 for just simple operations of property taxes and AOAO fees. That's
So you're talking for me to own it, it's the maintenance fees and the property taxes are $4,000 or $5,000 a month.
Exactly. And that's baseline. So that doesn't include mortgage, that doesn't include electric, that doesn't include any of the other overhead that these owners would have on a monthly or annual basis. So the attempt of this was to simply be able to create some sort of a valve of release of the pressure that has been constantly coming at the government for creating affordable housing. This has been going on for 40 years. I mean, there has simply always been a push. Go ahead.
No, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. There's a bunch of things I want to
Yep.
talk about, but it's the lack of affordable housing, and
Yep.
it really frustrates me that right now the council and the mayor's office are pointing at our vacation rentals that have been in
Right.
business for 35, 40 years and saying
Yep.
that's the solution, when in fact 12 years ago the county council made the biggest mistake I've seen since I've been here for 25 years, where they said all developers, to build anything you had to build 50% affordable housing. It was 25%. Developers were building, they were creating 25% affordable housing, which, trust me, I don't even think that's the best way to create affordable housing, but it was working.
Right.
And then county said, well, we're really gonna get more affordable housing by making the developers build 50%. And the developers said, I can't make any money at this. This is
Yeah, we're done. Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
done. And they walked away for 10 years. There was
Yeah.
no new development on the island.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have affordable housing, because the county
Right.
made some absolutely ridiculous decisions 15 years ago or 12 years ago. And they
Yeah.
finally revoked that law and put it back to 25%. And what happened when they put it back to 25%? Immediately, boom, development started, affordable housing started. We've got affordable housing being built all around the island now.
Yep.
We're way behind the eight ball. And I think that
For
the
sure.
solution is create a system where affordable housing stays affordable in perpetuity. That's one way. Instead of requiring the developers to build it, let's have it be created by the government in a way that
100%.
makes sense. Anyway, I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
sort of injected
No,
myself.
no, you and I are in parallel in that thought process. There has to be segments created for that type of housing. You can't simply take away from an area that is, number one, creating jobs, creating tax revenue, creating tourism, for all the other aspects that have that scope effect on creating obviously our economy and the flow of our economy. If you go and you take that away, so from a percentage standpoint, the short-term rentals that are proposed to be removed from our functioning programs right now would reduce tax revenue alone by 42%, 42.8 if you want to be direct.
Well, can I share some math with you that I did?
Sure.
So let's just say that there's, on this Minatoya list, there's roughly between 7,000 and 8,000 units that land into the Minatoya list. So the other night I couldn't sleep because I was so upset about the way this is all going down and the way there's being misinformation is put out there, and nobody's talking about the money. And I mean, it's like, follow the money. And this money affects everybody on our island. And so I did the math. So I figured, between 7,000 and 8,000 rent units, take 6,000 of those units and say those were in a daily vacation rental program.
Yep.
And on average, that's how much occupancy there was. If you figure there's 2 guests per unit, that's 12,000 guests per day. The Maui or the tourism board says that an average guest spends about $500 a day on the island. You take that $500 a day times 12,000 people, you get $46 million a day in money that comes in from off island. These are
Right.
guests, these are tourists. That translates into about $2.2 billion of revenue that comes to the island, that goes to the restaurants, that goes to the hotels, that goes to the Airbnbs, that goes to the cleaning services, to the bartenders, to the servers, to the restaurants, to the people that work at the swap meets. All of this money that comes in, there's $2.2 billion. And then take that $2.2 billion and calculate the GE tax that's lost on that at 4.75% thereabouts. That's another $10 million. Then take the transient accommodation tax, which is the hotel tax on those units, figuring that they're renting out for about $250 a day. At 6,000 units, that's about $77 million in transient accommodation taxes. Well, that's a lot of money. But then if they take that all and they say, okay, they're not vacation rentable anymore, they then change the tax base on all of these units. And it goes from roughly
12.5 12.5 is what they have going into effect.
12.5% taxes on a vacation, transient vacation rental unit. It's going to
Yep.
drop down to probably on average. There's a bunch of different levels.
3.5 is what they're proposing.
So I figured it out at 5.85%, just because there was a bunch of variables at a $1 million average value, which I think is probably low comparatively speaking.
It is.
And my rough number comes out to 46 million plus in lost tax revenues for a grand total of just these four little calculations of $2.3 billion that Maui is never going to see if they do this. And I just,
now,
our budget.
Let's take that one step further.
$8 billion. I mean,
so if we take that one step further and you look at those people that are going to come to stay on the island, provided we get to continue business as usual, the jobs that those people will be doing would employ close to 20,000 employees. Well, if you take that away, those employees are no longer needed. Those employees would no longer need a place to rent because they wouldn't be here in the first place. They would have to leave without employment. Well, now you're talking 20,000 employees needing places to live that no longer need places to live because they don't have a job and they've now left Maui. Well, now all of a sudden your crisis of housing is gone because you don't have people that need houses.
Wow. So the unintended consequences, or maybe they're intended consequences. I think that it's really, really scary that the ripple effect that this all will have if they just
across the board. It will cut our tourism in half, number one, which if you cut our tourism in half, you're basically going to, at that point in time, no longer have a housing crisis. Okay. But you're also going to end up losing the other half of the tourism because now the quality of our tourist and the quality of Maui is delineated.
Yes.
So albeit it may drive up hotel rates, it may drive up the qualified, short-term housing rates. Those people are still going to want restaurants. They're going to want, activities. They're going to want to be able to rent cars. Rental car companies, if they cut their business in half, they would simply stop doing business here because they have a level of performance that they have to obtain to operate. They have to do this to operate. So
I don't know that they stop performing here, but their prices are going to go up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. So you become an elitist island. And
our former mayor said, well, we only want the wealthy tourists, which I mean, that pissed me off like to none other. It's like all these people, the tourists that I love that come here are the ones that have saved for a year, 2 years, 3 years to have their dream vacation to Maui. And it's like, well, you're not welcome here. It's like, really? I mean, that is so wrong. It is such a drawbridge mentality, and it just disappoints me.
Yeah, so the timing of this is, and we have information from people who do legal counsel and consulting with the county, is they based a timeline because they had to put something out there to appease the voting public. This was their words, not mine. It was their words, and they fully expect a counter to the processes. They fully expect that this will not go as they fully intend and desire. And June 25th is the point in time with which they plan to do some sort of a county council meeting for the island of Maui. And then if that passes at that point in time, then it would have to go through Lanai and then through Molokai. The irony to this is the majority of the people on the county council are coming up for re-election in November. Many of those people have said that they are not wanting to run for re-election, many being the majority. I believe 6 of them have said they don't want to run for re-election. Well, that means that they may try to stave this off. They may try to not make a decision until after the November elections and try to push this onto the new county council elected members. If that happens, there might be between this next 7, 8, 9 months an aha moment that continues to come to all these people, and they have a recognition and a cognitive methodology of their thought process, recognizing this is not good for us to pursue. At that point in time, because now that the governor has given the county of Maui the ability to make decisions upon zoning and regulations and things of that sort, they may at that point completely reverse this. That would be the epitome of optimal for us. If we could have something like that happen, a complete reversal of this would be great. What we expect and what conversations that I have had with people who are in the know is we expect some definite rebuttal through people filing independent group and, simple, lawsuits,
Right. So class action and all
to
that.
stop this, class action for sure. Okay. The fiduciary right is going to come into play. And there also is a precedent already. I have it at home, unfortunately, but there already is a precedent for this that has gone through in Honolulu, where the action of removing the short-term rental was proposed by the government, and it was failed. It failed in the process through a stay, and then they just stopped the process. So we know that there will be contrarian events that'll happen. We expect the dates that have been proposed to be
What were the
pushed
dates?
farther out.
What were the dates? And I apologize.
It's
I was
June 31, 2025 is what the governor has proposed for the transition date of the Minatoya list to go into full apartment rental, minimum 6-month rentals.
so it
So
would
they
be let me, because there was talk, it was like, oh, when you sell it, then it has to convert. Their rule is going to be June 31st, 2025.
excuse me, July. Sorry, not June.
July
Yeah, my mistake. Yeah,
July 31st,
yep,
2025. So in a year and a couple months,
right.
it at that point in time, it's no more vacation rentals, no matter what, no matter if it transitioned ownership, it doesn't matter.
With a
That
carrot, and here's the carrot. There may be compensatory measures. There may be grandfathering. There may be a release of certain units in the program that have dual zoning structures. There's a lot of carrots that are going to come into play on this thing. And that's where we are being proactive on this rather than reactive in the processes that we're going about trying to have these conversations. My preliminary reaching out to the consultants and the legal counsel for the government was enlightening. It was as I expected, to be honest with you. I expected them to say, hey, we did this to try and appease the voting public here on Maui, because the majority of the people who own short-term rentals, especially in the Minatoya list, are not residents and not voters. So they're going after people who don't have necessarily a voting voice, but boy, oh boy, oh boy, do they expect to see the power, because there's a lot of money in these owners, and their empowered, rebuttal will be legal course of action against this. So they expect that, and they know that there will be some adjustments and modifications.
Well, and I mean, it reminds me of it's the Boston Tea Party. We're going to have the Maui Tea Party, and it's a taxation without representation. And that's
Yeah,
unfortunately, what we're seeing. And the new world order is lawsuits and litigation.
yeah,
And the problem with that is, if it all starts, the county doesn't have the war chest to
correct.
fight
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
battle. And
yeah,
I think it's unfortunate that Mayor Bisson just said, this is what we're going to do. And I know it's
right.
going to be difficult. And maybe it's political grandstanding. I assume part of that is that they're
Yeah,
just being politicians. And I have had a lot of faith in Mayor Bisson. I mean, I respected him as a judge. I've been in his courtroom. I really, really thought the world of him. I just think the way he's going about this is just different than I would have anticipated. I hope he's
it's
got a
reactionary. Yeah, it's very reactionary. Yeah,
and it just sucks. I mean, for our island, we had COVID and everybody got beat up with that. And then we've got, the fire and now this, and I know this is a cause of that. And it's just tough. It's tough on our economy. I was talking to a friend of mine who has been a 40-year resident, a part-time resident of Maui. He's been and absolutely loves the island. I talked to him the other day after Mayor Bisson made the announcement. He called me in just so upset. He said, Tom, we're going to Kauai to look at property over there next month because we just don't feel welcome. And that's just not the Aloha spirit that, I've been
No.
here just a little while. I've been here only 24 years, and I still consider myself pretty new on the island because I want to
Right.
respect. I think that, affordability and affordable housing is so important. And it's just a shame that we're experiencing this and there's not a method. So let me ask you,
So,
Kevin, from your perspective, what do you oh, I'm sorry, you were gonna I can
well,
go to where
what I was going to
well,
say is they already have and are fully reviewing alternatives for affordable housing that would avail affordable housing between $100,000 and $150,000. And they can build these in probably 6 months or less. So if that ends up gaining momentum and gets the weight of what we expect it to get, this would make the housing structures, be available to the people with whom they think would be, going into these transition short-term to long-term properties at a far more affordable level and negate the necessity for any transition of short-term rentals. And that is something that I definitely feel is the transition. That's where I think we're going to transition into. Okay. So I think that's the direction we will end up going. The situation that we're in right now is this is creating the reactionary aspects for many, your friend, for example, but you've got people that are reducing purchase or list prices. You've got buyers that are buyer beware and not going through with transactions right now. There are some buyers that are simply just shelving their desire to look for now. And, some places that are worth, let's say that in the 900,000s to $1 million are now being listed for 795, and they don't have anybody looking at the property. And then you've got another one that's just simply full knee jerk that pulls $1 million off their $1.7 million list price just to try and just, dump it.
and does that make, and I'm thinking there might be some people who are watching this saying, yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Until
it's not. It's
until
not
it
great.
dismantles all of the homeowners that own here, that live here,
Yep.
and their net worth that they built with their real estate, and they've now just tanked that. And
Yep.
I think it's an intended consequence of what they're doing. I think that was part of their plan, but I don't think they thought it through because they're going to now all of our resident, not all, a lot of our residents who are full-time Maui residents who've just bought real estate in the last 3 years,
Yep.
they're going to tank their real estate values. And what good does that do? And now,
Right.
and that we didn't even go into that calculation. That's an algorithm that I don't have the mental capacity to do.
Well, I
But
mean, just a nugget of that would be if you drive the market down 20%, you drive down tax revenue 20%. And it takes years and years and years to recover that. So if you look at it from just a single year, you're looking at a finite portion of what it will take. It would probably take 10 years to recover from what they could potentially be doing right now over the next 6 months.
well, I think just the simple press conference that the mayor did a couple of weeks ago has dramatically impacted the real estate market.
Yes.
And it's creating a lot of fear.
Yep.
And reactions that you were talking about, and which is it's just unfortunate that that brief, press conference can create that much impact. But I know that a lot of people are sitting on their hands now. Sellers,
Yeah, absolutely.
one of the things that I've gotten so many calls because of my previous video. What I'm just telling everybody is just breathe, just
Yep.
take a few seconds. Nothing's going to happen overnight. If you own a vacation rental condo that's on the Minatoya list right now, or you're not sure, just search Minatoya List. It'll pop right up. You'll see your condo on there. Some of those condos show that they're zoned hotel or H1 or H2. I believe that those will be safe if you're in a hotel zoned condominium, you should be protected. If you're
Yep.
in an A1 or A2 zone property, that would be on that Minatoya list also, and those are vulnerable in the current scenario.
Correct.
But if you figure that out, if you're trying to figure out what to do, what I would propose to do is take a minute. Don't be throwing your condo on the market saying I got to sell, because there's really nobody out there looking today until we have more
Right.
clarity on what's going to happen. So breathe, give me a call, send me a message, drop a message in this link. What I'm thinking we probably should do is create a Facebook group. We'll post the link for people to go to rally. I'm sure there's probably some out there already, but and then if you want more information, just drop your email into, or shoot me a message, tom@tomtezak.com. I don't want you putting your emails into the comments, but shoot me a message and just say, sign me up for whatever you're going to do to try to rally the troops. And I think that there's power in numbers. I think that if you are part of the process, and I don't want to, I don't want to be, throwing rocks at the mayor, because that doesn't do any good. I think we need to create a great plan that will bring things together, bring some cohesiveness to the plan, and be a voice that can be heard, and not somebody that's screaming, yelling. I know I did it a couple times already on this video because I get so infuriated. But I think that, let me know that you've got interest in being part of the process, that you want to be part of the journey. I appreciate Kevin being on there. Kevin, what is your thoughts? What would you recommend people do if they're being impacted by this?
Be proactive, not reactive. Number one is really, really important. We have to work with the people who have, and are attempting to make these decisions, but educating them properly. Definitely when we have these hearings, these county hearings, do make some statements, go online, do those statements. If you can be at the hearing, go to the hearing, and give, a tremendous amount of voice to the cause. You brought up that we're going to put together several different groups and entities. I've got a couple of groups that now are looking to become cohesive. And I will be a voice for a couple of those as well. So you'll see some proactive action happening here over the next month, maybe two at the latest, where we'll have a lot of interactions with government agencies. We'll have a lot more answers about what their desired intentions and directions are. But you nailed it. Let's not be overreactive right now. Let's just allow time to create education, I think, is really the important direction that we can go at this point in time.
Kevin, how do people get a hold of you if they'd love to talk to you about the rental program,
Yep.
your rental program, whatever that is, and whatever that vision is for you?
Yeah, absolutely. We're Maui Paradise Properties. So mppvacations with an s.com is our website if you want to book and come visit us. I'm personally available, kevin@mpphawaii.com, and my cell phone is 808-757-5222.
Okay, and I'm Tom Tezak. If you're watching this video, you know that. I always encourage you to email, text, call me, tom@tomtezak.com, 808-280-2055. And, at the end of the day, Maui is the most beautiful place in the world. I love living here. I love the people that are here. And I don't want to throw it under the bus, because that's not what it's about. But I sometimes just get frustrated. I love this place so much. As I said, I've only been here a short while, 24 years. And I just want to make it a better place. And I just look forward to doing that. And I just know that we have a lot of people who watch our videos, and I just want you all to breathe, just breathe. It's going to work
100%.
out. We're going to figure it out. And I want to be that resource and your guide here in Maui. And so just feel free to reach out and let us know how we can help. Thanks so much, Kevin. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Tom.
A rock star. Appreciate it. And
I appreciate you.
I'm sure this is not going to end soon, but we're gonna get to the finish line.
Appreciate your time very much.